Hi, thank you for joining us on this episode of Sports Bets for Free. My name is Scott Jenkins, your host, just a local sports bettor here in Phoenix, Arizona. And hopefully today with our picks and your picks, it's going to be another profitable day for you. Major League Baseball 2024 Futures Show. And we're going to go through all of our future bets, a lot of bets that are out there. So if you're new to baseball, great way to kind of maybe get into baseball betting. A lot of people watch baseball, but maybe think it's a little difficult to bet. We're going to run through some things today, plus our futures bets. Plus, we've got the first game of the Seoul Korea matchup due this week here. We've kind of got some bets on already, so we will get started here with that. So we'll just kind of get into the futures plays of what you can currently bet, what's out there, things of that nature. So we'll get started with a lot of people like to pick the World Series winner. My opinion, probably one of the hardest ones to play, and the one you're going to have to sit on for sure all season long to see who, unless your team's already out of it, of course. But in order to get paid, you will have to sit on this one. Futures bets do take some, they're long term, right? So, it's a 6-month season roughly. You're going to be looking at, sitting on this, outlaying this money now for 6 months plus out. Now, the one thing that's cool, especially with all the apps in most states here, is that you can bet futures pretty much all the way throughout the season. Now, the odds are going to adjust as the books take on what's called liabilities, which means bets on a particular team. For example, the Dodgers, by far and away the betting favorite to win the World Series this year. So they're going to probably have a bigger liability maybe on the Dodgers than anybody else, but also the shortest odds. So they are going to, in this particular case, we're just going to run through DraftKings and what they've currently got. So like the Dodgers at plus 350, which means you bet 100 and you get your 100 back, plus 350 if they win. Braves plus 450, Astros plus 750. Yankees and Orioles at plus 1,100. A little surprised, though, to see the Yankees still up there. This Garrett Cole injury, I think, is a lot more than what the Yankees have led on so far. He's at least going to miss a month, which is roughly... And when you're missing April and May, probably, maybe 6 starts, maybe 7 starts. So instead of 35 starts, the max he's probably looking at around 28 to 29. And that's if there's no other injuries at all. I will say this, though, that he won't even start throwing for 3 to 4 weeks, which means you normally need a couple weeks for a pitcher to ramp up after that. So I would think the earliest we would see Cole is probably middle of May, which makes his start count even lower, I think closer to that 25 number, and that's if everything else is okay. It looks like he may have avoided getting Tommy John, but he is by far away their best pitcher. It's not really close. Carlos Rodon, who they paid all that money to last year, had back injuries for majority of the year. He can strike a lot of people out, but he doesn't eat up a lot of innings, and he tends to give up a lot of dingers. So not that pitching staff in big trouble. Now they should be able to hit the cover off the ball. But if you watch baseball, like if you're watching the show, I assume you do, you'll know that pitching tends to win in the postseason in timely hitting, not necessarily ripping the cover off the ball. The Orioles, though, have made quite a few strides, and then picking up Corbin Burns to kind of top the staff there. With all the young talent that they have, they're going to be a fun ball club to watch so far this season. The Phillies 1,400. The Rangers defending champion plus 1,500. A lot of that has to do with pitching staff as well. Scherzer not supposed to be back closer to the All-Star break. They didn't re-sign Montgomery. He's still out there and available. Mariners at plus 1,900 as well as the Twins. The Blue Jays at plus 2,000. The Cubs... I'll be really honest with you. The Cubs do not have a chance at this at plus 2,800. I'm one of the biggest Cubs fans out there. I attend a lot of spring training games out here. Getting back to see them in Chicago when we can, but they are not. They do not have the near enough pitching in order to get home. Diamondbacks plus 3,500. Last year's the National League representative there. I think normally this is what happens. They surprise people with the team that they have, and then they go spend some money during the offseason, and then a bunch of mediocrity after that. We're not expecting much out of them. The Rays at plus 3,500, the Cardinals at plus 3,500.
The Cardinals had about everything go wrong that could go wrong last season. Expect them to have a much better run. I really honestly expect them to win the National League Central as well. The Cubs without the pitching and the Brewers trading off a lot of assets. Just expect the Cardinals to be there, not necessarily win the World Series, but to win the division. But we can go throughout the list here. But basically, it's a simple wager if you're going to bet to whoever's going to win the World Series. So as we go through some of the other things on DraftKings, you can also bet the league winner. You get a little less odds, obviously, because they don't have to win the World Series, but who's going to win the AL Championship Series? So in the American League, you got the Astros, the Yankees. I still can't believe the Yankees are ahead of the Orioles there. They're at plus 500. The Orioles are plus 550. Just shows that there's a lot of New York money probably in on the Yankees. They haven't been in a World Series since for 15 years now? So in the National League, we had the Dodgers plus 350 to win the World Series, but plus 180 to win the National League. Braves plus 240, Phillies plus 270. Phillies plus 750, Cubs plus 1,500, Cardinals are plus 1,600 in that one there. Like I said, so when you look at these and then we try to break it down from there, what we're going to bet quite a bit on is we are going to take a couple division winners, what we like here. So, for example, we'll give you the American League East, Yankees plus 185, Orioles plus 185, so pretty much a dead heat. Blue Jays plus 400. Rays plus 550, and I can't believe I'm saying this, the Red Sox, everybody's pretty much prediction for last place in the American League East at plus 1,700 to win the division on that one there. So we do like, in this one, we did take the not the Cardinals. So in the American League East, we did take the Orioles to win the AL East. We did get this at plus 195 not too long ago, probably in the last week plus. So a little bit of money you can kind of see coming in on them. To win the AL East. Now, the one nice thing is when we're betting futures team-wise, we're not reliant on a particular player. We will have some players' futures as well into some what they call head-to-head matchups, stuff like that. So you won't see, if a guy gets hurt, you're not going to get killed by that. Your team's still on the hook. So this one here is to win the division. We did take the Orioles in the American League East at we got it at plus 195, still plus 185. They won the American League East last season. I still think the best team in the American League East. The top of the pitching staff is pretty solid. Corbin Burns, obviously, they picked up. The lineup is tremendous, decent bullpen. But when you compare them against the rest of the teams, like the Blue Jays, the Rays, the Yankees, and the Sox, if we just eliminate the Sox for now, if they win it, it's a huge surprise, right? So the Yankees, like I said, with Garrett Cole being down for a month and a half, I think that's big there. Now, the Yankees maybe have a few more home run hitters, but you look at the length of this lineup for the Orioles, and we'll give you an example. So if you run through their projected lineup, you got Cedric Mullins, who was hurt a lot of last year, but the year prior, fantastic year. 730 OPS on that one. Then Rushman, their catcher, fantastic last year, hit 270, a little over 800 OPS. And then you get into Gunnar Henderson, who I think is going to have a breakout year. He was a shortstop for them last year, hit 260, slugged 350. Had a really good year, had 25 home runs and only 541 at bats. On that one. Then you've got Santander for them as well. He did hit 29 homers last year. O'Hearn and Mountcastle and Hayes are kind of like they're just solid guys, a little bit of, flipping around the lineup there, but you got 16, 23, and 18 home runs combined out of that. Jackson Holiday will be their good chance for Rookie of the Year for Jackson. On that one there, and then Jordan Westberg as well. But their starting rotation, Burns, Grayson Rodriguez, had a much better year last year, pitched over 160 innings, under a 4 ERA. Dean Kramer as well, pitched a little over 4 ERA, pitched over 160 innings. Tyler Wells, Cole Irvin, a lot of those guys supposed to be solid 4 or 5 starters. Definitely not top of the rotation guys, but pretty excuse me, pretty solid lineup there when you're going through that. And then just for example, if you flip over to the Yankees, we'll flip over them. LeMahieu hit 250 last year, and then you got Soto was the big trade. Aaron Judge, who's hurt. And then you got Rizzo, Torres, Stanton, who had one of the worst years he's had last year, hitting 230 in that one. And then Verdugo, nice little pickup there. Anthony Volpe, who was their rookie pretty much last year. They're relying quite a bit on. And then possibly Jose Trevino to be the catcher. And then you're running out Rondon, Cortez, Stroman, who they picked up in the offseason, Schmidt, and Beater, possibly those are their top 5 starters there. Not a lot to love when it comes to the startings there. Now, they did try to make a play for Dylan Cease. The Padres ended up getting Dylan in that trade, sent over a bunch of picks. So Yankees missing out on that one. Soto's a big ad, no question about it. I mean, the guy has damn near 1,000 OPS, which is going to be your on-base percentage plus slug. Soto takes a ton of walks, but if you watch Soto, like he is, I don't know. It seems like one of the. I'm not a big fan of Soto. I think he strikes out a ton or looks at way too many pitches in clutch situations. But when you got Aaron Judge behind him, he shouldn't take as many walks if Judge is going to play. Now, I'm of the theory that Judge has only had 2 seasons where he's played pretty much a full complement of games. Number 1 was his rookie season when he hit the 50-plus home runs. And lo and behold, wouldn't you know, the second one's a contract year when he hit the 60-plus home runs to make all the money there. Judge has mentioned a couple times about the toe that was injured last year. This is something that's going to have to take constant maintenance on his part. Yes, he's a devastating home run hitter. He still hit 45 home runs last year with only 500 plate appearances, a little over 500 at-bats. I honestly do not see him getting that many at-bats this season at all on that one. Rizzo was hurt a lot last year. Gleyber Torres, who I like, but, he's right around an 800 OPS, but he's going to be farther down the lineup now. Stanton, like I said, Stanton had one of his worst seasons last year. Still hit 26 homers and just under 400 at-bats. But the key is, can he stay healthy? That's been the trouble with him all his whole career. Then stolen base, there's not a lot of speed in this Yankees lineup either. I think Volpe led them with stolen bases last year with 23 stolen bases. So don't see a lot of speed out of them. So if you're projecting those two as your top 2 teams, I just think there's a little bit more depth in the lineup with the Orioles on that one. That's why we took Orioles to win the AL East. We'll get into the next set of division winners, the American League Central. So the Twins are the favorite to win this as they won it last year. They're about minus 115. Tigers, who everybody thinks is going to make a run this year, plus 350. Guardians at that same plus 350 mark. The Guardians have got the best pitching, I think, starting-wise at least. And then you got the Royals at plus 850 and the White Sox at plus 4,000. White Sox are in complete rebuild mode, so don't expect them to make much noise. The Royals, we've got picked for an under on the win total. I still don't think if they get to 70 wins, I think that's a big improvement. But, expecting more than that out of this team, I think is asking quite a bit with a bunch of pitchers who are 10-win type pitchers who don't eat up a ton of innings and normally up on the disabled list as well. But Twins seem to have quite a bit. We don't have a play for the American League East to win the division on that one. Next division up is American League West. Astros minus 110 to win this division. Rangers, who were the wild card last year and ended up winning the World Series, plus 230. Mariners plus 285. Angels plus 4,500. We have one of the biggest bets we have all season long, and that's actually under on the win total for the Angels. And the A's at plus 25,000 because nobody expects the A's to do basically anything on that one there. So American League West-wise, I mean, I honestly think it's the Astros and kind of everybody else here. A lot of noise on can the Rangers repeat. I don't think so with the way that pitching staff's kind of set up at the moment. Hitting wise, though, the Rangers are pretty exciting. I mean, you've got Seager, obviously, Marcus Semien, Evan Carter, who's got a great shot at Rookie of the Year. Wyatt Langford looks like he's going to be up there as well. So 2 young studs. Josh Jung, Jonah Heim, they definitely have that there. Pitching-wise, though, they're definitely struggling. The Astros today lose another pitcher to open the season on the disabled list. So should be interesting out there. There seems to be a little bit maybe a value if you want to go with the Rangers there, if you're just looking for a value play. The Rangers probably a pretty solid bet in that one. I definitely wouldn't bet a minus 110 here to win the division this early in the season. So next up is going to be the National League East. Braves obviously have won this division multiple years in a row at minus 240. The Phillies at plus 310. Remember, this isn't the playoffs, folks. This is just the regular season. The Phillies have owned the Braves in the postseason. It's been the opposite during the season. The Phillies struggle sometimes to win 90 games. The Braves always seem to be over 100 and kind of walk away with this division. The Mets, in my opinion, are in a rebuild as well at plus 1,200. The Marlins at plus 1,700. Good season last year. Lose Jorge Soler. But I don't expect them to make a run at this division. Then the Nationals at plus 10,000. I mean, there's no value here to bet somebody minus 240 at the start of the year. Especially in a baseball season. I mean, heck, all 9 guys could get hurt. Their 9 starters could get hurt on that one. Or somebody could get super, super hot. This isn't Formula One where you're betting Max Verstappen to win the championship because even if his car wrecks, he's still 10 times better than the rest of them out there. So we stayed away from the National League East. We did make a play, though, on the National League Central, so we'll give you those rundown. Cubs plus 185, Cardinals plus 190, Reds plus 350, Brewers plus 750, and the Pirates plus 1,200. The Pirates been the bottom dweller of this division for quite some time. Sometimes they can put up a good April, maybe even into May, but once we get later on to the year, definitely a struggle there. We'll see if Paul Skeens is going to come out and pitch for them on this one here. The Brewers got rid of way too many assets. They do have some interesting young players. Jackson Cheerio is definitely one of those. In my opinion, it comes down to 2, maybe 3 horses. And I don't think the Reds quite have enough pitching to get home. We did take the Cardinals here to win the NL Central. Odds have actually gotten better. If you do like the Cardinals here, they're up to plus 190. We actually took them at plus 180. I think this was before Bellinger signed with the Cubs. So we did take the Cardinals plus 180 to win the National League Central in this division on that one there. Then we'll get into the National League West. And I'll be really honest with you, there is no reason to bet this division unless you just want to put money on the Dodgers or you like wasting money on big-time long shots. The Dodgers are minus 450. If half this team gets hurt, they're still winning this division. Obviously, adding Ohtani, Yamamoto, Glasnow. I mean, the list goes on and on. The one area that the Dodgers can struggle is going to be pitching, but you'll see more of that maybe in the playoffs than you will during the regular season, as they'll have enough arms to bring up. And with that lineup, they can outscore everybody during the regular season on that one. But the Dodgers are minus 450. The Diamondbacks are plus 850. Padres plus 1,100. Giants plus 1,300. And Rockies plus 20,000. So $1 wins you $2,000 if you think the Rockies are going to win the National League West. And if you want, just send the $1 here to Sports Bets for free, and we'll invest it wisely in half a candy bar for you. It's just there's nobody else but the Dodgers winning the National League West on that one. Let's be honest about that one. So we'll get into regular season wins. This is where we spent a lot of our futures money on this one. So DraftKings has any team to win over 106.5 games at plus 115. I don't foresee anybody winning over 106.5. It means you got to go 107 and 55. That's 50 games over 500. It's a possibility with the Dodgers or the Braves, I think. I just don't foresee it. The Dodgers have the highest win total, which we'll go through here in a little bit, but don't foresee that one. So then we'll get started here. They kind of go alphabetical order, so we'll be a little bit all over the place. Diamondbacks win total 83.5 wins is where the Diamondbacks are sitting on that one. Just a little bit over 500. Remember, 500 is going to be 81 and 81, so they need to go 84 and 58 in order to get to the over. Don't foresee this on them on that one, but it's one of those I think that's going to come down to probably the last couple weeks. They could sneak in as a wild card, do some damage again. I just don't know if they're going to get the same kind of performance from Brandon Pfaadt, their third starter. They brought in Rodriguez. They signed him to a deal this offseason to kind of be that third starter. But, Merrill Kelly's getting up there in age. Zach Gallen. Those guys had tremendous years last year, and kind of repeating that process, I think, is definitely going to be a little bit difficult for the Diamondbacks. They do have a lot of young, exciting players, but I think that's really going to be, it's probably pretty close. I think 84, 85 wins, maybe on the low side, 76 to 78 wins, so kind of right in that window. Next team up, the Atlanta Braves, total at 101.5 wins, so they got to go 102 and 60 in order to get to the regular season total over. On that one, they've been winning over 100 games. I don't question that part of it there. Pitching's definitely a concern for them. That the hitting lineup's not. They're deep everywhere. I mean, they go 7, 8, 9 deep in the lineup that you don't really get a guy off to face. Just the pitching's going to be the concern there for them. Next team up, Baltimore Orioles. We picked them to win the division in the American League East. We're also going to take over 90.5 wins. We like this bet quite a bit. So the total at 90.5. So we need them to get to 91, and 71 gets us home. Last year, won the American League East, got over this number at 90.5, added a front-of-the-line starter in Corbin Burns. So we did bet the Orioles over 90.5 wins. Next team up, Boston Red Sox, 77.5 wins. So a little bit under 500, and the way their lineup and pitching staff is, that could be a struggle to get to 77.5. They are the Red Sox, so a lot of times people are going to bet the Red Sox just to bet the Red Sox, but 77.5, we're staying away. It's kind of, we think their win total somewhere falls between 74 and 73 and 80, so kind of right in that number. The next team up, the Cubs. We went over this with them for the National League Central. 84.5 wins. Pick up, obviously, Craig Counsell was the managerial addition, one of the best managers in baseball. Pitching-wise, picking up one of the Japanese prospects, not the expensive one, right? So, one of the only reason he didn't get the bigger contract was because of age. Pushing 30 years old. Suzuki, last couple games in spring training, has been tearing the cover off the ball. They re-signed Bellinger. I think it still revolves around the pitching, and their lineup's not as deep, definitely, as the Dodgers, as the Braves, maybe in the Cardinals, and don't have the home run power that those other teams have as well. So we're going to stay away from the Cubs win total at 84.5. It is, like I said, it is pretty interesting, though, 84.5 there. But it's probably pretty close to the number. I don't see, maybe, like I said, maybe a ton of value in that one there. Next team up, though, we did take the Chicago White Sox, 61.5 win total. So in order to get over, they need to go 62 and 100. Trading away Dylan Cease, they are definitely in rebuild mode. They could sneak up, maybe win 65 games. That wouldn't shock me. I mean, it still puts them probably last place in the American League Central. But not a lot of value betting the 61.5 there. Next team up, the Cincinnati Reds, over 81.5 wins. The Reds are pretty interesting. Ellie De La Cruz, who was torched kind of through baseball last season, definitely getting a lot more pub this season. Pitching is going to be where they kind of struggle again. And most teams, this is going to be the area of weakness, is going to be pitching. There's just not enough pitchers to go around. On there, and especially at the prices that the pitchers are getting paid. So we'll stay away from the Reds at the 81.5, but another interesting number on that one there. Next team up, Cleveland Guardians, total at 79.5. So need to go 80 and 82. They struggled last season. They're the worst scoring team in baseball. Pitching-wise, though, missed Bieber for quite a chunk of the season. Tristan McKenzie, they missed for a ton of the season. I think they probably got maybe the best pitching staff in the American League Central. They just can't put up a lot of runs. That's the area that they struggle, and definitely not a lot of power numbers up and down that lineup. Next team up, Colorado Rockies. 60.5 is the win total here, so need to go 61 and 101. to get to the over here. Chris Bryant, who was a huge fan of, obviously, being a Cubs fan, unfortunately landed with the Rockies. He can't stay healthy. They don't have any pitching. It's just all around downright brutal for them this season as well. So next team up we'll get on top of here is going to be the Tigers. So the Tigers, we mentioned they're the, they were basically the second pick to win the American League Central behind the Twins. 80.5 wins. They haven't really come close to this mark in quite some time at this 80.5. But it should be interesting. Riley Green, we're going to get a full season, hopefully, of Riley Green. Spencer Torkelson, who hit over 30-plus homers for them last season. Kerry Carpenter hits over 20 home runs for him last season. Javi Baez was their big signing a couple years ago. Can't get out of his own way. Still has a below 700 OPS. They pick up Giovanni Urshela to play, supposedly going to play third base, and Jake Rogers as catcher. Skubal, who they've been waiting on now for quite some time, looks like he's going to be top of the rotation. 155 innings last season, a little under 3.5 ERA. Jack Flaherty, a free agent acquisition for him, pitched just over 150 innings, one of his worst seasons, and a 4.5 ERA. Maeda, Manning, Renee Olson, and then probably Casey Mize to kind of finish up for the starting rotation there. It sounds like to me around a 500 ball club. Like they're going to win some games, they're going to lose some games. They could get hot maybe for a week, 10 days, and get just as cold for the week, 10 days. So we're going to stay away from that win total from the Tigers. I think it's right there, like 81, look like 78 to 84. Somewhere in that win total is probably pretty expected for them. Next team up, Houston Astros, 93.5 wins. More news about starting pitchers for them going to be on the disabled list. Lineup's still strong. I mean, they still have a fantastic lineup, folks. I mean, don't feel too bad for them because they're missing some more pitchers on there. But let me get them pulled up here. So, I mean, you still got Altuve, Alvarez, Bregman, Kyle Tucker, Breu, Yanner Diaz, Chas McCormick. You look at Jeremy Pena, probably Jake Myers as well. Valdez, Javier, Hunter Brown, Ronel Blanco, J.P. France. Decent starting rotation, not great. Don't really have a top-of-the-line guy there unless Framber Valdez figures out how to be that ace. I mean, he did pitch almost 190 innings last year. 14-win season, under 3.5 ERA, which solid numbers. Whips a little bit up there. It's pushing 1.3 on that one there. 64 walks did lead the staff as well, so he does walk quite a few guys. They should, they're going to win a lot of games by hitting. The question is, once they get to September or, once they get to October, can they continue it or is some pitching going to come up? We did stay away from the Astros on that particular one, though. But the way that the Rangers are also hurt in the starting rotation should be an interesting one. Next team up, Kansas City Royals. Total right now is at 74.5. We did actually bet this under at 73.5. I'm from Kansas City. I like the Royals, don't get me wrong. They have one of my favorite players in the game right now, Bobby Witt. Probably going to hit second for them. 29 homers last year, 42 ribbies. We even got some Witt props that we're playing. Over 800 OPS. Didn't walk, only had a little over 40 walks. Let's see if they can stay a little bit healthy with Pasquantino hitting behind him. 20, so they, how do I put this? Here, let's go through their starting rotation. So Cole Reagans, who last year I thought pitched tremendous, especially the back half of the season, put up 160 innings, 10 wins, 4 ERA, 168 strikeouts, so he averaged over a strikeout per inning, which is solid. Great left-hander. So Seth Lugo, Michael Wacha, Brady Singer, who a couple seasons ago was fantastic. This last year was not good. And then Jordan Lyles does what Jordan Lyles does and gives up a ton of runs. But he can eat some innings from time to time for you, as you're going to need that fifth starter. So Jordan Lyles, I watched him a couple days ago in spring training down here in Phoenix. He got rocked by the Cubs. And I expect Cole Reagans to probably have, let's see Cole maybe get the 13, 14 wins, keep that ERA below 4, and maybe get closer to 200 innings. Even with that big a jump, do we really expect them to win 10 plus more games? I don't see it here. I mean, they did add Hunter Renfroe in the offseason. I think it's a solid bat. But I mean, they're projecting him to hit like, 6th, 7th, 5th, 6th, 7th in the lineup. MJ Melendez was kind of was a surprise for him last season. Mikhail Garcia played a solid third base, but he's a singles hitter, folks. His slug was below 400. Set the table up for Bobby Witt a lot, get on base, but what are we really expecting out of the Royals? I don't see where they're coming up with this number, especially that number going up to 74.5. Like I said, we did take it at 73.5 under even money. It's now minus 110 at 74. I love that play, folks. The Royals under 74.5 wins. Next team up, one of our biggest bets of the offseason here, the Angels, win total at 72.5. Mike Trout hasn't played a full season since I can't tell you when. And I'm not talking playing 162 games. I'm talking playing 150 games. He's projected, third in the lineup. Rendon hasn't stayed healthy since he's been with the Angels. Then you've got, I can't pronounce it, Refugio, Taylor Ward, Brandon Drury, Mickey Moniak, Logan Hoppe, Zach Neto. And then your projected starters, Reed Dittmers, Canning, Patrick Sandoval, Tyler Anderson, and Chase Siddeth. They're supposedly trying to work out a deal to get Blake Snell. I think that gives them a few extra wins. The problem with Snell is he walks a ton of guys and doesn't necessarily eat a ton of innings. And then you're kind of relying on that bullpen. I don't know if this team wins 65 games, let alone 73. It was one of our biggest bets. Besides for a player prop, this whole futures market. So we love the Angels here under 72.5 wins on that one. We'll get to the next team here, Dodgers. Of course, adding Shohei Ohtani and everybody else that they did. 103.5 wins is the total at now. So the last couple times that we've seen team total wins this high, they've both went unders. The Yankees were one of them. I still think they win. I think this come down to the wire. I'll put it to you that way. Can they get to 104-58? Yes. Are they going to smoke this and get to 112 wins and go 112-50? No. So if you want to bet the over here, you are probably, this is one of those tickets to cash maybe in the last, let's say, week to 10 days. If you're going under here and they start off slow, you could catch. This is a ticket you cash probably pretty early. So we'll stay away from the Dodgers though. But talent-wise, best team in baseball. We'll see if they can put that together for the season. Marlins 78.5 wins. I'll be really honest with you. I don't have a feeling one way or the other here. They lose Soler to the Giants, so Soler can go to somewhere where nobody can hit home runs and see if he can do any damage there. Pitching staff's not necessarily there. Hitters not the lineup's not deep on that one, so we'll stay away from the Marlins on that particular one there. Next team up, the Twins. I'm sorry, we'll go to the Brewers first. 77.5 wins. I don't know how they put it together, folks, on this one to go over this one. I don't expect them to be a 500 team, but just below 500 is probably where they fall, and I think this is going to be a good case of that here. So we'll stay away from the Brewers here, but 77.5 win total for them. Next team up, the Twins, 86.5. They don't have to win 87 games in order to win this division. That's the scary part, is I think they could sit a lot towards the end of the season and not even get to 87 wins and still win this division. They can win this division probably going 84-78 and still go under and still win the division on that one. Next team up, the Mets, over 81.5 wins. We grabbed this probably about 3 weeks to a month ago at 82.5 and took the under. I don't know how the Mets anybody thinks the Mets are going to, like, all of a sudden do something fantastic here this season. So if we really look at this, let's roll through the lineup projections and everything here. So Nimmo, who had a great season last year, probably his best season. Francisco Lindor hit 250. Okay. 27 homers. Pete Alonso's in a contract year, hit 250 last year with 40 homers. Had an OPS over 840. Fantastic year from his. The young catcher still, Francisco Alvarez. Good season for 440 at bats, hit 25 homers, hit 230, an OPS around 760. And then Jeff McNeil, Starling Marte, Brett Batty, Choi, and then Bader. The lineup's not deep. I think once you get past basically, 4 or 5, it's kind of where the end of the lineup kind of definitely falls off. And then your projected starters, Quintana, Luis Severino, Sean Manaea, Hauser, McGill. Nobody pitched over 160 innings out of that one. Lowest ERA in that group was at 4.3, and that was Manaea. Multiple guys with 40, 50 walks. So they averaged basically 2.5 walks per 9. Nobody strikes anybody out. Highest guy was Manaea, again, 147 strikeouts and 144 innings. That's averaging 1 per. Quintana, 160 innings, 133 Ks. So they missed, they don't have a lot of swing and miss stuff. They can't hit the ball out of the ballpark, which is definitely important in today's game. But to be really honest, the top of that division with the Phillies and the Braves, I think takes away some wins from the start. But then also having the even schedule, I just do not foresee this team. This team basically traded away everything at the end of All-Star break of last season once they figured out they weren't going anywhere. Even if this team stays healthy, it'd be a struggle to get to 500. So one of our favorite long-term bets as well is going to be the Mets under 82.5 wins. I still like them at under 81.5. I don't think they hit the 80 mark when it comes to wins this season. Yankees, 91.5 wins. This number has dropped because of Garrett Cole. This thing was at 93.5 for a lot of the season. 91.5 wins. Gives them more wins than the Orioles, though. We have not made a play on this one. We might here in the next couple days. But minus 120 to go under the 91.5 wins. I just think that Garrett Cole injury is a lot bigger than what people anticipate. There's it's just one pitcher. Well, when that pitcher's been basically penciled in to get you a win every 5 days, and now he's gone for a while, it could be some trouble there. Oakland Athletics, 57.5 wins, the lowest win total of the season. So the A's started off so horribly bad, no question about that. They finished strong. This number has actually moved up. We got this a few weeks ago at 56.5 wins. We actually like the over here on this one. So we are going to take the A's. I know, trust me, they've been the worst team in baseball for multiple seasons. But all they have to do is go 57-105. That's doable. If they continue on the same win percentage they had towards the end, the second half of last year, it gets them like 58, 59 wins. A lot of places have them projected in the 60s. I would not surprise them to win 62 games, go 62-100 on that one there. Next one up, the Phillies, over under 89.5 wins. Phillies are a good ball club. No question about it. Now there's some injury worry with Harper as well, so no question about how much time he's going to miss. But we are going to stay away from that. They're a good ball club. Like I said, they can do maybe a little bit of damage and get to 90, 95 wins. Don't see much past that on that one there. Next team up, the Pirates. Mitch Keller re-signs in the offseason. They got a lot of young talent, 75.5 win total. If this was at 70.5, I think we would have definitely played the over here. 75 kind of gets more into their band, so we'll stay away from that one. Padres, 83.5 wins. So obviously the Dodgers are probably the cream of the crop when it comes to this division. There's not much question about that. The Diamondbacks are ranked very highly as well. This starting pitching, though, for the Padres looks pretty solid, especially since this Cease pickup. So start off with Yu Darvish. To kind of start, he's going to start off the Soul series. Then we get into then Joe Musgrave as your number 2. He's going to pitch that second game of the series. He had an ERA just a little over 3.5 last year. And then Dylan Cease comes in, obviously a big strikeout guy, 179 innings last year, 207 strikeouts. His WHIP is actually probably one of the highest ones on the staff at 129. So I think their 1 through 3 starters might be the best ones in baseball currently. Then you've got Michael King and Brito going to finish that one out for him. I mean, you've still got Bogarts, Tatis, Cronenworth, Machado, Kim, Jackson Morrell. If you haven't heard of him, folks, definitely get a chance to check him out. He looks like he could be headed for superstardom. Hae-Sung Kim, Paulie, Camposado, and Profar. The lineup's definitely not as devastating as it was with Soto, but their win total is also about 7 to 8 games less. So, they're not at 90. It's only at 83. We have not played anything on this yet, but definitely something to keep in mind as we go looking back at that one there. So next team up, the Giants, 81.5 wins. I'll be really honest with you here. This is probably a play we're going to make under. We have not made it as of yet. We got a little time on some of these teams here for these win totals. So 81.5 for the Giants. And you tell me if you can name more than one guy on their team, you are a Giants fan. I can name one guy, and that's who they picked up, Jorge Soler, in that one. Next team up, St. Louis Cardinals, 84.5 wins. We like them to win the division. We think last year was the blip on the screen. And we definitely like them to win more than 84.5 games. This team, to me, it sounds like about a 90-win team. And they could, things could go like they did last season, no question about it. More than likely not. Mikolas sounds like he's going to get the opening day start. They add a couple solid arms behind him. Kyle Gibson, not a big strikeout guy, but eats some innings, about 175 innings last year. Lance Lynn they pick up in the offseason as well. Steven Matz, Zach Thompson on that one. The lineup, though, is kind of the area I think that can really devastate some folks here. So Brendan Donovan, Goldschmidt, Nolan Gorman, Nolan Arenado, Wilson Contreras, who finally figured out a few things towards the end of last year. Jordan Walker, big-time home run prospect. Mason Wynn, Dylan Carlson. Solid lineup. The only area of issue, I think, for them is stolen base-wise. They don't seem to present a lot of speed options on that one. But, they've got Arenado and Goldschmidt. I mean, Goldschmidt hit 26 homers last season. Arenado, 25 homers. Contreras, 20 homers. In that one, Jordan Walker, who didn't get 500 bats last year, still hit 19 homers on that one as well. But if the pitching can stay somewhat healthy here, I think the Cardinals have a great chance to win this division and get over that win total both. So once again, the Cardinals were one of our bets there, over 84.5 wins. Next team up, Tampa Bay Rays. They're also at 84.5 wins. Tampa Bay, interesting. They always seem to do damage with not a ton of assets. Now, they do have some assets when it comes to Yandy Diaz, Brandon Lowe, Arizarena. They definitely got some hitters. Paredes had a fantastic year last year. Even though only hitting 240, had 24 homers. Siri had a good year last year for only hitting 220, had 20 homers. The pitching staff, picking up Savali last year from the Guardians, I think helps them more during the regular season like this year. So you've got Eflin probably going to lead it off, 3.5 ERA last year, almost 1K per inning. Savali, Zach Littell, and then you got Ryan Peepo they pick up from the Dodgers. Shane Baz possibly pitch this season. This is a team that probably be in the running to get to 90 wins. We have not made a play yet. It just gets a little expensive when you're going to bet a lot of these teams on this one. So kind of one of those things we'll look at another time before the season kicks off. But 84.5 wins, this is something they've gotten to quite a bit. So the last three teams, Rangers over 88.5 wins. So like I said, that Rangers lineup to me is stacked. I mean, when you really look at this Rangers lineup and what they've done, with adding a couple rookies on the boot as well. So you've got Semien, Carter, Langford, Garcia, Jonah Heim, Josh Jung, Leah Tavares, Durant, and that's not including Corey Seager. The starters is where you run into the issue. Valdi has been a good pitcher, but he's still over a 4 ERA. He's definitely more of a postseason pitcher, has been of late. John Gray, Andrew Heaney, Dane Dunning, Corey Bradford, and then Scherzer coming probably midway through the season on that one. So the issue is going to be the pitching more than likely. They should be able to score a bunch of runs. They got guys 27, 15, 20, 32, 18, 25, 13, and that's not including Corey Seager in that mix. So definitely some power throughout the lineup, some young kids. Wyatt Langford, him and Carter was fabulous in the postseason last year, but Langford has definitely got some raw power numbers that they're definitely interested in as well, and it should be interesting to see if both those guys are going to compete for AL Rookie of the Year, which one pops that out. Next team up, the Toronto Blue Jays, 86.5 wins. This is down from last season. They were at 90.5 last year for the win total. Came up a little short on that one. And the big reason was inconsistency everywhere. Chapman was a big disappointment last year. He's gone. What are they going to do? Gaussman's hurt right now. Barrios and Bassett. And, so the starting rotation, a little struggle. I mean, you got Springer, who had a good year, 23 homers, OPS 7, just under 800. Bo Bichette, 22 homers, hit 290 last year. He was hitting well over 300 for majority of the year and tailed off at the end. Then you've got Guerrero, OPS at 875 last year, 33 homers, 102 ribbies, and he struggled mightily in the start of the season. They pick up Justin Turner. Turner's getting up there in age a little bit. That's the only concern I would have there, but he still hit 14 homers. It was kind of a replacement for Chapman a little bit. Dalton Varsho, Alejandro Kirk, Kiermaier, who's been there a long time, kind of their defensive specialist in center field. Biggio has been there as well. Not a big time hitter there. They're not as stacked maybe hitting wise as they've been in the years past. Pitching's not quite as good. Therefore, you see that win total go down to 84.5. We're not on that one either. Nationals 65.5 win total. So if you want the over there, they got to get to 66 wins. So what's that? 66 and 96. So 30 games under 500. One of those teams, interesting teams again. They've got some nice pieces. The problem is you don't know if they have like a full lineup they can put together. C.J. Abrams, Lane Thomas, Joey Meneses have been good. Then you get into Joey Gallo, who can't hit 200. Ruiz for their catcher, he hit 260 with not a ton of pop. Senzel, Garcia, and Robles. But the big issue is where you run into is that starting pitching. You've got Josiah Gray, very inconsistent last year, almost a 5 ERA. Then Patrick Corbin, almost a 5.5 ERA last year. Mackenzie Gore, who the Padres thought was going to be a stud, finally gave up on him. Now he's pitching, and he's got one of their best ERAs, from last season, just a little over 4.3. So I'll be really honest, and Gore strikes out, he's more than a K per inning as well. That pitching staff, though, is just scary, and more scary. That team, you might have to score 7 runs a game on average in order to get anything home. So that's kind of a list of the win totals on every team going through there. And then they have bets like if you want to make the playoffs, like for example, if we could go through the list here again, but the Diamondbacks are plus money. The Braves are minus 1,400 to make the playoffs. If you want to see another one, let's look at the Dodgers here, minus 2,500 to make the playoffs. So not normally an area we probably spend a lot of time in to do that. We did play quite a few player props. Let's get into those. We're not going to go through every player prop that we took, but we'll give you what we've got, what we did bet here. So Pete Alonso, more home runs than Aaron Judge. We did take this bet last year. It did cash. We're taking it again this year, and it is plus 185 on that one. Another player matchup, Josh Jung to have more home runs than Alex Bregman. Jung, of course, hurt right at the moment, but we did take Jung to have more homers as well. Gunnar Henderson, more home runs than Bobby Witt. So Henderson played a few less, had about 100 less at bats last year and was only 2 homers behind Bobby Witt. We expect Gunner's in a better lineup. We expect him to see more pitches. So we do like Gunnar Henderson more home runs than Bobby Witt. Ellie De La Cruz, more home runs than O'Neill Cruz for the Pirates. Ellie was awesome for the time he was up last season. Now, he had his struggles like I think every rookie kind of does. But he's got a big stick, a lot of speed. So we do like Ellie De La Cruz more than O'Neill Cruz. Also, Ellie De La Cruz, and you'll notice we're on him quite a bit, so we need him to stay healthy. Ellie De La Cruz over 38.5 stolen bases as well in that one. Aaron Judge under 112.5 RBIs. The only reason we bet under on Judge is his health. We don't, he's going to have to play over 100 games to get there. Moving one down in the lineup as it looks like Soto's going to hit second. I don't think helps. Yeah, maybe it costs him a few at-bats here and there. But we'll take under 112.5 RBIs on that one. Our biggest bet on the offseason is Ellie De La Cruz over 67.5 ribbies. It looks like De La Cruz is probably going to hit middle of the lineup, which I think is going to make this thing, maybe second through fourth. Last year, only 527 at-bats. Did get to 73 RBIs last season on that one there. Of course, he had 21 homers. OPS over 760 as a rookie. If you got McLean, De La Cruz, Steer, Fraley, they pick up Hamir Candelario, Jonathan India. They got a pretty good lineup overall. Just the pitching is... I don't know if there's... it's real bad. I'll put it that way. That bullpen's going to have to be fantastic. But Ellie De La Cruz, without a full season last year, hits over that 67.5 RBIs. And we expect him to do it again. So, like I said, that is our biggest bet for the futures market. Mike Trout under 94.5 RBIs on that one there. So, Trout, once again, just can't stay healthy. If you told me Trout was playing 130 games, we would bet that over. But I don't know if he's going to play 100, miss 2 months of the season one more time. Aaron Judge not to hit career 300th home run this season. So instead of taking under on his home run prop, which was like 44, we did take this one here because it was plus money. It's the same number. So Aaron Judge not to hit career homer number 300 this season was plus 110. Spencer Strider for the Braves. Been fantastic striking guys out. I mean, his strikeout total is normally 3 strikeouts higher than most everybody else. So Strider lead the league in Ks. On that one, De La Cruz, which we went over earlier on his RBIs, and more homer than bet on O'Neill Cruz. We also like him over 21.5 home runs. Gunnar Henderson, which we mentioned before that we liked more than Bobby Witt home run total this year, over 27.5. Evan Carter for the Rangers. We mentioned him and Wyatt Langford earlier in that lineup. We like him to win AL Rookie of the Year. Carlos Rendon, under 168.5 Ks. This bet cashed so fast last season because he didn't come back till after the All-Star break. Looks like he's going to be, so far he's healthy to start this season. Don't expect a lot out of Rendon though. Expect him to probably have back problems at some point and sit for half the season again. Tyler Glasnow, obviously getting traded. Now with the Dodgers going to be the top of their rotation to start the season off. Over 12.5 wins, and that was plus money. The Dodgers make it pretty easy to win games overall if their bullpen can hold up. But if they go out and smack you 8 runs, it's pretty, it makes it a lot easier for a starting pitcher to throw 5-6 innings and give up 5 and still get a win on that one. Tristan McKenzie, last year got hurt. Unfortunately, cost us a lot of money on that one there. But we like McKenzie. He's got nasty stuff and only over 8.5 wins. So to get to 9-10 wins for McKenzie, and we're cashing that ticket. Pablo Lopez for the Twins, under 13.5 wins. 13.5 is one of the biggest numbers on the board for a team that's only predicted to win around 85, 86 games. We took the under 13.5 wins there for Pablo Lopez. Bobby Witt for the 30-30 club. I don't think the steals will come into question. The question is 30 home runs for plus 160. Couldn't find that on his home run props, so therefore we just took the 30-30 bet at plus 160 on that one. Jorge Soler, we've mentioned him a couple times, signing a free agent deal with the Marlins, under 28.5 home runs. Good luck hitting the ball out of that ballpark. I've seen one guy do it in all the years I've been watching baseball, and it's called Barry Bonds. So 28.5, even though he hit well over 30 last year, ballpark has a lot to do with it. You're playing 81 games in San Francisco. Wind blows in a lot, cold. It's not an easy place to hit home runs if you didn't have all those weather elements. So we'll take under 28.5 homers. Royce Lewis for the Twins, over 24.5 homers. I'm going to tell you right now, folks, if this guy plays 130 games, he's going to smash this number, be well into the 30s. This all has to do with injury. So we're banking on the fact he'll stay healthy for maybe not the whole season, but maybe only miss a month and get 130 games in. So over 24.5 homers. We went over the A's, over the 56.5 wins. We went over the Orioles to win the AL East and the Cardinals to win the Central. One last bet that we do have for futures. So we think the Angels are going to have one of the worst records in baseball. So there was a flyer on DraftKings. Angels, it's banned wins when you're looking at it. So if you look at, you'll get into regular, So team futures, and then you put regular season win bans on DraftKings. For the Angels, there was an option to bet under 63 or fewer wins. That bet was plus 475. It's now down to plus 450. I honestly think the Angels lose 100 games this season. 62 and 100, maybe a little bit fewer wins than that. But to win 63 or fewer, we did sprinkle some money on the Angels there to get less than 63 or less wins. So basically you're betting them at under 63.5 wins if you want to look at it that way. So that is a list, and we went through all a lot of the futures bets. There are so many futures bets if you want to play those on all the sports. Baseball especially, you can bet it from teams to players, and then not only teams, regular season wins, make the playoffs, win the World Series. You can bet bands where they finish here and here and here, depending on what kind of odds you want to take. We don't tend to take those big, odds, or we don't have a parlay with win total this, that, and the other. Pretty straightforward here on this one. We like Ellie De La Cruz a lot. We like Gunnar Henderson on those if you're looking for guys we like. We got Strider to win, have the most strikeouts in the MLB. We like Bobby Witt quite a bit this year, even though we don't think the Royals are going to win a ton of games, just the rest of the lineup. We think the Angels are not going to be good whatsoever. We don't think the Mets are going to be very good. We think the Orioles are going to be good. Kind of just a view of what we think is going to go on in Major League Baseball this season. Now, we could get this thing to the All-Star break and we take a look at this show and go, oh my God, we were dead wrong. It happens on these futures bets. It seems like you either smoke them or you're dead wrong. So on there, it happens. Like Judge could stay healthy for the full season and crush a lot of the bets we have on there. It just normally doesn't happen. You're playing percentages. And when you're playing player totals for the season, they're always going to be a little decompressed just because they got to throw that injury chance in there. If they're out for the season, guess what? They don't give you that, they don't give you that money back because they got hurt for the season on that one. So make sure you do check that out. Also, we'll be back tomorrow with the two early games in Seoul, South Korea, where the Padres are playing the Dodgers. Just to give you a little heads up, we've made quite a few bets on this. So if you're checking out our Google Sheets at the end of the show, you'll already see the bets that we've made on this. We do like the Padres in Game 1. We're kind of leaning Dodgers in Game 2 on that one. But we do like the Padres tomorrow, especially not tomorrow, Wednesday morning early. As the money line was like plus 170 on that matchup. And Darvish does pitch the Dodgers normally pretty well. So just to kind of give you a heads up on there, we'll go through what that is. So at the end of every episode that we do, there is a link to our Google Sheets. This is a ledger of all of our bets, what juice we got those at, how many units, and what book we did place those at as well. So make sure you do check that out. It'll read like docs.google.spreadsheet, bunch of other stuff behind it. Click into the link. So if you're looking for the baseball bets, There are 2 seasons of baseball, 2023, obviously, was last season, and 24. You can see those bets listed there if you're into those baseball bets. If you're into the other sports as well, we've got a couple of seasons of football we went through. This year's basketball is on there. Then also there's a miscellaneous, like non-mainstream sports tab we do bet on. Golf, Formula One, UFC, we like having action there as well. So do make sure you get a chance to check all those out. If you like betting multiple sports, this is a spot for you, as we are a volume better and we bet a lot of different stuff. We like a lot of sports. So what makes sports better than a little bit of action, right? So on there as well. And then as always, if you could subscribe and get notifications to our YouTube channel, so when we drop a new episode of bets, you get those first. It makes life really simple. Once you hit that subscribe button, we'll be in your subscriptions tab, and you'll see a little dot next to it when we've got a new episode. Or if you go and turn those notifications on for YouTube, you'll also get a notification to your phone or device to let you know Sports Bets for Free has dropped some new bets, give you plenty of time to match them up with your bets, and give you that ton of confidence you need heading to the betting app or betting window. I do appreciate everybody's support as always, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.